Hello, this is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is January 20th, 2024. Welcome to the podcast. And as usual, I'm asking you to please subscribe. And I'm asking that you pass on this moderate conservative podcast to other people. Our focus is on data, not on emotion. Today I want to talk about the U.S. federal government policy on Make America Great Again for the next 4 years. And I say the next 4 years because that will be the actual government policy. What you won't hear from the mainstream media outlets and some of the Democrats, specifically the progressive Democrats. So if the Democrats are interested in what they should change, they should actually switch back to conservative Democrats like Bill Clinton. But that's for them to decide and people on their side to champion that cause. So we want to talk about we are Americans and the majority does have a voice. That's the first one. Why is this important? This election cycle was really exciting from the perspective that I thought that the American people were really engaged in policy, not emotion, but policy. The 2020 election was very, very much about emotion. The policy that we were talking about, inflation, and the other big one was immigration. And throughout the whole cycle, something exciting, like I said, happened. People were actually asking questions that weren't in the media. And it was interesting to me that some of the mainstream medias would get mad if they would ask a question and then people would come back and say, well, I don't care if they're trying to indict the president-elect, now Trump. I'm more concerned about people coming into the country illegally. And of course, Fox News focused on that, but they were the only ones. The other channels, which outnumber them, their focus was on somebody's character, and the American people did not buy that. They also didn't buy the second thing. Leadership from two cities, LA and New Orleans. And this is very important. I, over the last 4 years, actually went to the usgovernment.gov. That's where they have the president's policy, meaning Biden and Vice President Harris. And I did some podcasts on that, and I was just shocked at how much they had about social issues. That was their focus. Their focus was DEI, privilege, all of those things in some form or fashion. And they spun that somehow people coming into the country had the right to do that if they were oppressed in their other countries. Now, we believe that too, but only if it's legal. The voice of the people was that is secondary, the social issues, to inflation and immigration. And the Democrats didn't get that for 15 months. And it was almost like the elite part of the party was telling voters, hey, no, that's not important. The social issues are more important. And no one reported strongly in the mainstream medias that why they thought that these social issues were still more important than people having to go into bankruptcy because groceries were too expensive to buy. Now, transition to the leadership. New Orleans had a terrorist attack in January. Well, what led up to it? Well, their lax approach to security. Now, you saw this on the news and all of that stuff. What was interesting to me was the mayor's response. And I feel like if it would have been social justice stuff, she would have strongly have defended those policies. But when it came to terrorism, it seemed like it was deer in the headlight. And that translated to the national election when the Democrats, you tell them inflation, you would think that deer in the headlight look like, what's the big deal? That's not a big deal. I can pay for my groceries. Well, the government pays for my groceries, right? So that kind of attitude. LA, same thing. Now, California is good with big picture stuff. And what do I mean by that? Disasters. Do you remember that there were earthquakes in California in the 70s and 80s and how the state rallied and put in place disaster preparedness things for that? Well, in California, it appears once the Democrats took over long term, the disaster preparedness left the state whatsoever. And they, like New Orleans, pivoted to social issues. That's all that they were worried about. And it shows now. Now, nationally, we saw after this election that people are not that concerned about social issues. Now, they are concerned, but if you prioritize them, okay, we need lower inflation, we need lower taxes, and we need not everybody coming into the country. And oh, by the way, the other countries like Europe, Asia, even the Arabians have strict laws on immigration. The only country that doesn't have strict laws on immigration is, guess who? The United States. And their policies are driven by how people are coming into their country, disrupting stuff, where ours seems to be based on, well, they were treated wrong in their country, they fled, and now they brought the same values to the U.S., and they're trying to make us bend to what the people want, especially like in Arabia. That's been the problem. Okay, so what are the wishes of the voters who elected Trump? I said them already. Inflation, lower taxes, immigration. Those are policies. Those are social issues from the perspective of they don't just pick out one or two groups who are affected. When you are a politician, you have to look at the majority and say, hey, if you are a voter in this country, and honestly, these are American issues. They're not Asian American issues. They're not African American issues. They're not Arabian American issues. They are American issues because money affects everyone in the country. They don't care what you look like. Money is green, okay? This was the exciting part for me, that people really voted on the issues, and I believe that we're going to make some changes. Now, nothing is guaranteed to happen. The difference is we have an executive who is going to try to make the changes. And that's what most people want. They do not want the status quo. And they were tired of politicians saying, yeah, you're right, but. And I hate that too. I hate when people tell me, yes, you're right, but. We don't want to hear the buts anymore. We want to see some of these things change. And we want our laws followed. I said this a long time ago. Congress itself, meaning the House of Representatives and the Senate, we have an entity, organization, as it were, whose job is to make more laws. Well, do we really need 3 or 4,000 laws, or should we just lean toward enforcing the laws that we have? And I think the next 4 years, this Make America Great policy is more about following our laws and taking a risk on trying something different than we've done the last 20 years, because people are really frustrated with where we've been the last 15 years. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Have a good day, and remember, I'm going to start doing the live feed on the local politics in Illinois coming soon. Have a great day.